Hey guys, welcome to the 101 in 10, where you get to see your favorite indie artists from around the world 101 in 10 minutes. I'm your host, Ayasha Roberson, and I'm back today with a new artist to feature on our show. We have the lovely, multi-talented Miss Abi Mia.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you
Thank you so much.
for for actually being on the show and interviewing with us for this week's episode. I want to talk to you a little bit about your musical influences. How did you get into the music industry and who were your musical influences?
Well, I actually got into the industry at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm sure a lot of people did. And I suddenly had a lot of free time on my hands. And I was like, I remember that I love music. And then I just really started and I was like, oh, yes, this is something I need to be doing with my life. And I have so many influences, but I guess more directly, Demi Lovato, Christina Aguilera, the very powerful vocalists.
Yeah. Yes. Now, let's talk about, since you just started getting into the music since the pandemic, let's talk about the musical instruments that you play. How many musical instruments do you play? And did you just start playing those during the pandemic, or have you learned those years ago?
Well, so I play one. I play the keyboard, and I didn't just start playing that at the beginning. I have to admit, I'd kind of learned a bit kind of 10 years before, and then I had a big gap. But it kind of came back to me quite quickly, which was quite nice. But mostly I play by ear. I'm not very theoretical when I come to my music, but it wasn't exactly that new.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about your songwriting. Now, as a songwriter and as an artist, how are you able to really capture the essence of your feelings as a writer into your musical vibrations? I love the music that you create.
Thank you. Well, a lot of the really emotional ones I write reactively to a situation. So I'm the situation happens and I go and I write, and it's just really raw in my head still. So it's my way of actually processing emotion sometimes and just kind of letting it out that way. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I'm more intentionally writing a song. So I kind of try and put myself back into that mindset of like, well, I want to make the audience feel this. So I'm going to just try, and I might listen to some similar types of music to kind of get me in the zone.
Now, that's great. Now, I know that you talked a little bit about your musical influences. Now, what do you think your music is more of a pop style, or is it more of like almost on an R&B type of style of music? How would you describe your music?
So it's definitely pop in the broad genre, but I sing quite soulfully. So I think it's kind of pop, but not sort of, it's quite intense sometimes in the way I sing. And again, I have used different influences in my singles so far. So one of them was a little bit more of an R&B beat, and kind of I'm trying to play around still a little bit with the sound, but pop, yeah.
It's a great, you have a great infusion of music, I believe, when it comes to your musical style. Like, I think that's great as an artist, that you can kind of go from a little poppy to a little R&B, and that's how you really are aimed to gain your audience and fan base and people that can kind of, really vibe to your music. I think that's awesome. Now, you're welcome. Now let's talk about your new single, Shadow. Now, how did you come up with the album title, Shadow?
Well, I started writing the song first. I usually know what I'm writing about, and I was writing about people that I'd seen become shadows of their former selves through just giving and giving to everyone else and not ever taking care of themselves. And then I guess just lyrically, it was repeated quite a lot in the song. So I usually try and name it something that's repeated quite often.
Wow. And you know what? I think that's so great when you said that, because I think as artists, it's good that artists are able to really capture themselves when it comes to their emotions and what they're going through and their feelings, and whatever situation that is really troubling them, they're able to really put that through their music. And I think that's a great way of really allowing people to connect with you in that way. But I think most people don't do that too, because they don't have that musical outlet. So it actually gives you your me time. As you said, pandemic, this was your time to really dig in and dig deep into yourself, and this is where you kind of found yourself as far as this musical genius that you are. Now, I think it's awesome, and I think people need to be able to capture their emotions in their music. And I think people are
Yeah.
so scared to capture what they're really feeling. They tend
Yeah.
to listen to whatever is playing out on mainstream radio, and then they'll create a song based off of what's more popular versus what's
Yeah.
more, which was in their heart, or what's more passion driven. Do you ever find that difficult with you as an artist, really sticking to, you know, what you want to do as an artist and not really paying attention to what's going on mainstream?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure to kind of fit in. And as much as a lot of people say, oh, you've got to be unique to break through and you have to have your own sound. But then when you often send things off to blogs or people, they're like, well, it's not, doesn't sound like what's out there currently. So they want you to be different, but the same. So it is a constant balance between kind of still putting, for me, music is an expression of my authenticity. I can't write the way I cut. Like I can't write in other ways, really. Sure. So it wouldn't really work. It would come across as really inauthentic and what is she doing? So for me, staying true to my sound is very important. But I think it's also important to stay current with the structures and some of the soundscapes that are out there now.
That's great. Now, can you tell the fans more about your upcoming music, your upcoming performances? How they can connect with you and on social media?
So I've actually got a new single coming out the 26th of November. I might have announced it by the time this airs. It's called Can't Stop, Won't Stop. It's quite a defiant pop funk track. It's a bit different from, again, my previous ones. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of dancing going on, hopefully. And then I'm doing, a few more gigs around London, mostly at the moment. So if anyone's in London, follow my Instagram. That's where I put everything. I'm very active on Instagram and I love to interact and go live. So you can find any information there, really.
Okay, great. So make sure you guys check out her upcoming single, her new album, I should say, which is Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has that little, I can feel like that funky beat to it, and it got you moving and grooving. So we got to definitely check that out on November 26th, you said.
Yeah.
So it's right around Thanksgiving. So guys, please check it out and make sure you follow her on all her social media networks as well. We'll have all that stuff linked listed underneath this video, so you can connect with her on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. And thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I really enjoyed it. And guys, thank you guys for tuning in to the 1-on-1 in 10, where you get to see a new artist from around the world 1-on-1 in 10 minutes. Again, I'm your host, Ayasha Roberson. Make sure you connect with the 1-on-1 in 10 and me on social media, which you will see at the bottom of the link of the show. And make sure you subscribe and like this show as well, because we would love for you guys to send us your comments. So again, thank you 1-on-1 and 10ers. We look forward to seeing you again. Have a good day. Take care. Bye, guys.